Hi.
Hello, how are you?
Good. Let me get this. So we are okay. My kids are just gonna go down and play for a minute. We're just taking a quick minute. We're in Arizona. My son graduated. So
Oh, fun.
yeah,
Has he already graduated? Like you've done the
last night.
ceremony? Okay.
Yeah, last night.
Awesome.
So yeah, it was a late night. It's kind of a lazy day today.
Oh,
They've been out at the pool and I've been working on libs because I wanted to make sure I was prepared. But
right. Oh,
yeah.
good for you. So can you hear me okay?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Okay.
Same on your end?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No, my speakers went out or something. And so I'm
Oh,
having to use these headphones and I'm like,
oh,
hopefully
gotcha.
everybody hears me okay.
Yeah, no, it sounds
Okay.
great.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I always love these calls are led by you. The form that you filled out is a good form to kind of get you like, okay, what do I want to talk about? But if that ever changes, like if you're ever like, I felt that out a couple of days ago and something's completely shifted,
Okay.
just make sure I'm aware. Otherwise, I just kind of go off of what's on there. So
Honestly, I haven't had a chance to really think about a whole lot. I've been trying to tuck things in,
right.
in all of the stuff we've been doing. So in some ways, I kind of feel like I'm floating,
Uh-huh.
but just like trying to plug in, but feeling very disconnected a little bit.
Okay. Do you do grounding exercises at all?
I do. I haven't really done anything. I mean, we've been out sitting in the sun, that kind of
Right.
thing, but like I haven't done anything intentionally grounding today.
Okay. One quick, easy way is to stomp your feet, just stomp them on the ground, and that can ground you if you feel like, okay, I need to kind of come back down and get grounded. That's a really easy one that takes, 2 seconds to do. So,
Okay.
Thank
you.
You're welcome. Well, let's start. I'd love to start with celebrations. So, what do you feel you have to celebrate today?
Does that have like just anything in general?
Anything. Yeah, anything.
Like I am super emotional. It's the to give you a little bit of history, I went through a really I've been married twice, but I went through a really rough divorce. It was a 6-year process.
Oh wow.
It was just in court. It was a lot, and so financially that was a real struggle because the house was taken, the bank. He emptied the bank accounts. He took the cars. Like I literally had nothing.
Right.
And so to be able to be here, one, like the work that I had to do to just like mentally serve. I don't know why there's 9,000 alarms all going off right now. So the work that I had to do to just kind of survive it all, let alone be in a place financially where I can just take my family on a vacation, is like I remember how I felt like getting to the moon seemed more like a reality, like a possibility than my life ever being anything other than what it was in those moments. Right. And so being here, like I'm looking around, we're in a hotel room, like this just was an absolute impossibility. I didn't know how to, so that is a big win for me. But so my son's dad lives in Arizona. So it's been hard I have twins from my second marriage and my son from my first marriage. Okay. So I have kids in different states.
Right.
That's been a challenge, but seeing like the person that my son has been has just, I don't know, like I just sobbed. It's been a really, to see him graduate, to see the people he surrounds himself with. Like Krispy Kreme was running a thing yesterday for graduates where you could go get a dozen donuts. So we picked up a dozen donuts for him yesterday, and he opens this up, and it's, we were sitting in the parking lot trying to figure out, mapping things, and he sees a guy walking by and notices him. And he's like, "Hey, you want a donut?" It was clear this man was homeless. And like, I didn't notice anything. I wasn't paying attention to anything, but like the way he sees the world and how it's just so natural. It's not just and I wrote that in his card, like the way he sees things, the way he experiences the world is just like remarkable. So that's a long-winded way of saying those are some wins for me, because it's just been such a heartbreak navigating this road all the way here. And so to see these little things it's comforting.
Yeah.
So,
and beautiful, like just a beautiful experience. And you created this.
That's the part that I'm like, did I, sorry. I'm almost mad at myself for, it's like, I know I did. And I'm struggling with that a bit. Sorry, I'm like really, there is a lot going on for me right now. So you're getting like a lot of tears and a lot of emotion just out of the gate.
Hey, you release it. If you need to release it, just let it go.
I want to make the most of this call too. Where I'm new to this, I'm not, I don't necessarily want it to be like a therapy session, and I want so anyway, I'll let you kind of direct it as so we can stay on track.
Okay. Well, in your intake form, you did put that you wanted to focus on structure for writing your book, and that you were also bumping up against overwhelm. Those are the things I like to focus on during this session, unless you need something else. So do you need something else today, or is that still what you want?
I'd still like to go over that.
Okay, perfect. So let me get clear. When you say the structure for writing your book, are you talking about like a calendaring issue, or are you talking more like a overview,
like an outline or something?
Okay, yeah.
I don't like, this has been on my heart for so many years, and I just don't want to get to the end of another 6 months or the end of another year and just be like, it's still on my heart.
Right.
And I don't know what that looks like, because it feels like a heart calling.
Mm-hmm.
And so like it, maybe I can illustrate it this way. I have never considered myself to be like an artist or a painter, but I love the quote, when you hear a voice within you saying you are not a painter, by all means paint, and that voice will be silenced.
Mm-hmm.
So taking that quote, I would paint and I would throw on music, and I never really had I never knew what I was creating. It was just, I was drawn to a color. I was drawn to a certain paintbrush or whatever. And I would just kind of experiment and free flow. And at the end, there was this picture, and it was very clear at the end, like it meant something. And it was like, I could almost read it. There was a lot of meaning in it for me. And I could see that it was very clear at the end, but the process of it felt very like free form. My sister, the way she paints, she's taping off the edges. She's sketching things out. It's very linear. It's step by step by step by step. Right. I don't know how to take a process that feels like what I've just described with my painting process, because the book has felt very much that same way. Like it's just do this and kind of guided here, but I feel like it needs some sort of structure, or it's never going to get anywhere, because it's not a simple painting that I can sit down for an hour or two. It needs.
Oh, you just froze on me. Am I frozen to you?
It needs some riverbanks. When she was asking all of the questions in Facebook about, do you want to make money for this? Do you want to, what do you want to do with this? I don't know, because I don't really even want to write the book in some ways. This is hard. It is hard for me. I don't want it. Just, there is this intangible pull that's like, it's been on my heart for so long.
Right. Right.
So I don't know how to take all of that and turn it like, and listen.
Right. Well, let me ask this question. Like, what do you want your readers to get out of the book?
I want them to see themselves. I want them to, all of those moments of intuition that they doubted, all of those moments of, I knew it and I didn't know how to know it in that moment because everything else was telling me something different. I want the story to validate them, their experience, so that they can see themselves, so that in the next moment of intuition, that they recognize it as such and they can act on it.
Okay.
And it's not like a step-by-step directive book, it's more narrative. I know that much.
Okay.
But that's what I want to come out of it. Or that's what it feels like it is coming out of it, is probably a better way to say that.
Okay. So would you say the overall theme is like hope? What would you say the overall theme is?
Yeah, absolutely. Because in these moments, I know the authors that have spoken to my heart, there's just one line that just is this lifeline to get you to the next place. But I want that to be an awakening from within. I want them. I realize how much I've outsourced my intuition. I want this to represent the opposite.
Okay. Sorry, I'm just taking some notes. Okay, so what are some topics? Did you have any like topics out there yet that you could create chapters on?
Yes. Okay. And they kind of to this point, I actually, like a year ago, a friend of mine and I rented a hotel, locked ourselves in for the weekend and just wrote. And I had created a structure where every night I was writing, and just so that I could get in a cadence of no matter what, just writing. Mm-hmm. And one night I went to open it and everything I had done was gone. My friend took my computer into his IT department. And I had emailed it to myself. I had backed it up on the cloud. Nobody could find any evidence of this. It was just gone.
Wow.
And so I had it had taken years to get to this point, and I lost it. So it's been me trying to get back to even starting over on it. Mm-hmm. And so then I would set where I was just writing just 10 minutes a day, just something to get, but it doesn't feel like I'm getting any traction. It doesn't feel like, I don't know. I just, so ask your question one more time you said,
like the topics that you have, like how many you have, and if those can create chapters for your book.
Absolutely. And so the structure that kind of what I have right now are, as memories will pop up into my mind, I'll write a chapter on that and just write according to that experience. And that's been a little bit different with when I've been writing for 10 minutes, it's a little bit shorter, but yes, more or less that's what and I have kind of like what feels like an outline, but it's all everything is very feely and emotional, which is how I do things, and that's fine. And I also need help with where things are not natural for me.
Right. Right now, how often are you writing?
That I've had to attend to a bunch of health stuff. And so that I was writing every day, and I haven't been, and I'm ready for kind of phasing out of what I'm dealing with right now and implementing just structure across the board, getting back to a cadence of a routine and those kind of things. I haven't been able to. I've just had to take a window and not.
Right. Do you use a calendar currently?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Do you calendar in your writing time?
I was, but I was finding I was arguing against it. And so that's when I was like, I'm just doing it for 10 minutes every day, because I realized I could argue 15, but I couldn't argue 10. Because even if I was tired, even if I wasn't, so I've tried to experiment with different ways of what is actually getting it done,
Right.
versus kind of the ideal of the calendar. I've tried to calendar it in for a year.
Right.
And it wasn't working very well. So I've worked on eliminating distractions, and I've worked on, but
with the 10 minutes, do you feel like you get into a groove and then you're stopping?
Yes, sometimes. And sometimes I keep going for a while. Sometimes
Okay.
I'm able to. It depends on if that 10 minutes is on a weekend where I don't have my kids, or if that 10 minutes is the last 10 minutes of the day and I'm falling asleep and I'm just trying to check it off my list. It's
right.
I was wanting to do it in the morning. I was experimenting with doing it in the morning when, but then I was bumping up against going to work and feeling it's a lot of emotion that I'm stirring up. And then now all of a sudden I have to shut this off and switch gears. And so I kind of feel like I found all of the lots of different ways that aren't working well. And at the end of the day, I just haven't been consistent. And so it's left me with a pile of not much to show for it.
Okay. How do you feel about writing longer amounts of time, less days a week?
Yeah, I think that would be good. And then I immediately, like, I kind of shut down at the thought of that. It feels overwhelming. Okay. So like, that's not to say I can do it. I just.
Are you willing to experiment with that and
yeah.
just, sometimes just putting that word on it, the experiment, tweaks your mind just a little bit. Because my thoughts now, I've never written a book, but Allison has. So she would be great to lean into with this. But my guess is, like, as you're doing 10 minutes, like it's taking 10 to 15 minutes to kind of get in the groove. So you're kind of stopping your genius if you're only doing 10 minutes. And I think your genius will come in. And just like you painted those masterpieces, as you allow more time to get into that groove and get into the flow, allow the emotions, that's going to create your book, is allowing, like, because you are expressing your experiences, your memories, your heart onto these pages. And so, like, I think if you can do like start experimenting with 3 times a week and trying an hour. Okay. And see what that looks like, or even like trying 1 time a week for 2 hours. And that's where the calendaring will come in to be helpful, is saying, okay, like, I don't have my kids here, so I can schedule in 2 hours this week right here. Or, if you decide to do the 1 hour, but definitely a chunk of time that's longer than that 10 minutes to really get you into that writing, into the emotions, into the message that you have to share. Do you, like, with a calendar, do you balk at it in any other places, or is it just mostly with getting this book written that you're finding that resistance?
Yeah, probably just with the book, because I calendar everything. And usually if it's in there, I stick with it pretty well.
Okay. Do you know the meaning you're giving? Like, when you're like, oh, I don't want to do this, what's the meaning behind that?
I started to play with that actually today.
Oh, good.
With this libs module. I mean, I'll read you what I wrote. I'm afraid of exposing myself. I'm afraid of documenting a moment when I may change my mind about it later. I'm afraid of getting it wrong. I'm afraid of how my ex will retaliate. And if he does, then he'll do it so much better than me and get it right. He's very strategic. This is, it's just, he lives life like a chess game. He thinks things out multiple steps in advance. I don't. I live from my heart. I like to think that way just shuts me down. Right. But so I put that he'll think things through in his chess game strategic ways, spot my weakness and use it to hurt me again. Yeah. That I'm making my private life public and exposing myself to lots of opinions that I can't control. And I can't control this when it leaves me. And I realize, like, if it's in me, I can manipulate it and feel how I need to feel, but it's just raw, it's vulnerable. And yes, and this is showing up in health issues and showing up like that control of needing to like protect something that just feels very vulnerable.
Yeah. And it's a very, very heavy meaning that you've given to writing this book. So what's your why?
I've asked myself that so much. I still haven't come up with a great answer. I feel like it's part of my healing. I feel like it's part of my giving back. I feel like it's, but none of those have been strong enough to get me through any of the other meaning that I'm assigning to all of this. Yeah. So it's not like a why that wakes me up and goes, oh, that's it. Now I can power through.
Right.
So
out of curiosity, can you think of one woman who could benefit from your message?
Yeah. And I don't want to write it for her. I want to write it for me. I like, not to say that they wouldn't, but I don't want this like savior complex of I'm doing this to save somebody else or anything like that, or that like if somebody could benefit, great, I hope they do. That's not that. Like, genuinely, why would I put myself through this if I didn't care about that?
Right.
But I also need this to be about, I need it to be about me. Right. In some ways, like, and I know that kind of sounds backwards, but
no. Let it be about you. Do you feel that you're making that wrong?
No, like for me to even be able to say that is like that, it's just a lot of work to say I want to write a book. Like it took like me to, I don't know, 9 years to even be able to voice this beyond anyone outside of me. There was like maybe one person, and then over the last year it's like opened up where I'm sharing it. Like to share this stuff on the Facebook page is like gut wrenching. Right. You know, and of course I know I'm gonna have to like, to get this out, to promote it, there's going to have to be a whole lot of other growth and all of that. I don't like being in front of the camera. I don't like answering things publicly. I don't like Facebook in general. I had to reload it onto my phone to participate in the group because I had taken it off my phone. It's not my, so I don't like, going back to what's my why, I don't really know, and I don't know how to find it.
Have you journaled and just used writing as a therapeutic tool and just everything that's coming to your mind? Have you journaled about what your why is?
Yes, but probably the way I say is like 10-minute journaling, you know, without getting into the depths of it.
Yeah.
So I've done that in other areas, but not as it relates to this.
I would spend some time and, you know, like just really getting into it, asking yourself questions like, why is it important that I share my message? Will this help me heal? What is it that I want my audience to receive from this book? So you had a pretty good, clear picture on that. Why why do I need to be vulnerable? And just really start digging and get super curious. Like, because you have such heavy meanings attached to this right now, you really want to get into that curious state, because curiosity is that gateway to a beautiful state. So, don't be asking these questions with judgment. Just, oh, gee, I'm curious. Like, and as questions come, just go with them, answer them, and just allow yourself that time to really dig deep, because your why is within you. It just hasn't been able to show itself yet. And that's okay, because you are where you're meant to be. This message is coming out when it's meant to come out. And it's here because you're ready for it. And I know you're ready. You took a scary step and you put it on Facebook to this group of women that you don't know. And that was a huge step in the right direction. And a huge step in showing your coachability and your willingness to give your message, knowing that this is what you're meant to do. So when do you feel like you can get that journaling done?
I feel like this. I would love to dump it all down. I'm trying to like be present for while I'm here.
Of course, yes.
When we get back, hang on. I'm grabbing more tissues while I'm looking at my calendar.
You're just fine.
I should have just had the box here the whole time and I knew it. Oh my goodness. Okay. Probably in a week. We'll be back on Tuesday. Oh, hang on just 1 second. I take that back.
Okay.
I'll have my kids again. I'm just trying to think when will I have minutes where I don't have my kids? And
yeah, absolutely.
Wait a sec. 1 sec. Oh no, Wednesday. That's like probably June 1st.
Okay.
They will be with their dad so that day. So because of the swaps. Sorry, I have to.
You're totally fine.
Is when I can really sit down and just do like an emotional dump on all of this, and maybe I can sneak things in between here and there. But that's like the first actual availability from a calendar standpoint.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, if you want to, whether you put it in your calendar or you write it down as a task, just if you can journal that out, and when you've done it, you don't have to tell me what you journaled or anything, but just say, hey, I did my journaling dump session. I found my why, or I didn't find my why, but I would set the intention that during this session, you will find your why. And if I don't hear from you, I'll just send you a quick message on June 2nd, just saying, hey, just thinking about you. And if something comes up, I totally understand. But I think that finding that why is going to help so much with that resistance that you're having, because then you can basically bark back at all of that limiting belief, all of that resistance that is telling you to play small.
Okay.
And you'll get to bark back at it and say, no, I'm ready. I'm ready to heal. I'm ready to share my message, and I'm ready to show up powerfully.
Okay.
So
no, that's awesome. Thank you. As far as like putting a date on this card, I don't, because of everything that I've just dumped here.
Right.
I don't know how to date this. And I had just put it like 6 months from when I wrote it, but I don't think that that's necessary. So at some point, I would love direction on that.
So all you need to do is put a date on it, because that creates urgency. So I say keep the 6 months.
Okay.
And then as we're getting closer, or as we approach the 6-month date, if you're not going to make it, totally fine. No big deal. You just bump the date.
Okay.
But if you were to put it out a year, there would be no urgency. Okay. So that date, all that is to keep you in that urgency to finish it.
Okay.
So,
all right.
Yeah. So don't stress too much about that date.
Okay, good. Because I just didn't know how to, and I know I answered really long on the Facebook where Allison was asking questions, and then I'm like, yeah, I don't know what to do with it from here. So,
right. Yeah. Yeah. Is there anything else that you need help with today?
No, I think just, as far as, once you get through module 4, are we doing the rest of them together, or is it just go through them?
It'll be go through them at your own pace.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. But you'll start having homework, like you've had a couple homework assignments, but there'll be like regular homework assignments to post on the Facebook group. Just because everybody will be at different spots, which is why we don't do them together. But yeah, so everybody will be at different spots, but just be posting your homework on the page so that you can get the feedback from me and from Allison, and we can celebrate with you the ahas and all that fun stuff that you do get out of the modules. Okay. And I would say 1 a week. You don't need to rush through them. And for me, when I was in the program, I would listen to it first, and then I would listen to it and take notes. And then the rest of the week, when I was getting ready, I would re-listen to that module, but it would be the same module. I would listen to that same module anywhere from 2 to 5 times in that week, just to really sink it in.
Yeah, that's kind of what I've had to do, just even to retain it in some way. It's okay, I listened to that, but I'm going to have to, the homework, I'm going to have to go back to it's oh yeah, I'm supposed to do homework with that. I'll have to go back to even hear what it is so that I can post on it.
Right. Yeah.
Because I'm consuming, but I'm not integrating very well.
Right. And the first 4 modules are kind of that way, just because we tell you to get through them quick, because we really want to get you to those limiting beliefs. So I'm so glad you're there, because those are going to be so powerful to get in and give you some powerful statements to change.
Okay. All right.
Sounds good. So,
thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your trip.
Thank you. I will.
Thank you so much. Okay. All right. Bye.